guys, welcome back to more Astrea's Broken Heart. I always gotta check, just look down and check, make sure I'm saying the right thing because I don't even freaking know. Oh, there's like a weird glitch going on my screen though. Hold on one second, let me try to fix that. Okay, episode 5, The Call. Is it fine? Okay, it's fine. Childhood was an amazing period of life, a time when you were unconditionally dependent on the decisions of adults. Melody always considered herself an obedient child and never thought of being anything else. Obedient children were held up as examples to the neighbors, but even obedient children were sometimes drowned in the river by distraught mothers. Mom, I don't want to drink it. What? Wait, hold on. wait. I didn't look at the picture what happened, what's going on in the background here. Why is everybody slumped over like that? And why are there guards with guns in the church? What the heck? I'm fine. Nothing hurts. I know, honey, but this will help you. Help? How? Why are there guns? Melody often saw fear in her mother's eyes. That fear had many shades, most often superstitious, but rarely gratuitous, and when next to her father, always reverent. Reverent fear? This time, the fear was animalistic, forcing her to seriously consider her small position in this vast world. I don't need help. You do, Melody. We all do. From outside the church, an order came again to open the doors and go out one by one. The woman's hands began to shake even more, splashing muddy liquid from the plastic cup onto the floor. Come on, honey. Everyone already drank it, even your dad and I. Now it's your turn. Most of the parishioners were sleeping peacefully, sitting on the pews. Some continued to pray frantically, but their whispers grew quieter by the second. A very young woman with a baby was sobbing loudly. The pastor had made her child drink, deciding for some reason that her mother would not be able to do so herself. You gave it to the baby? What is that? Drink, honey, or Dad will have to make you. Then he gonna have to try because I don't know. This whole thing seems sketchy. A man tried to get to the door, but the men standing at the exit hit him with the butt of a gun. Why can't we leave? Her mother had already spilled more than half of the liquid. She grabbed Melody's hand and forced a pitiful cup into them. Do you trust me? No. No, not really. No, actually. Actually, no. Who would I trust if not you? There was no more time to talk. Noticing her confusion, her father was making his way over to his daughter. I trust you, Mom. I trust. But Melody did not have time to raise the cup to her lips because she stalled long enough. But what the heck is going on now? Faceless people in black uniforms dropped into the church windows like wingless angels. Splinters rained down the heads of the parishioners, but none of them even looked up. Shots rang out and the woman pulled her daughter close to her. Mom? Her mother's tight embrace kept her from moving or breathing. Time slowed down, seconds dragged on the dense horror that filled that church. And then the masked angel ripped Melody from her mother's suddenly weakened arms and dragged her towards the exit. The last thing Melody remembered was the sight of the young woman's serene face. Like a bastion of calm in an abyss of pain, she slept the baby in her arms. Mom! Mom. What was going on there? Did like a SWAT team come? Or... Alright. Melody, breathe. Why are his eyes so red? His eyes always that red. Is he okay? His stern voice made her take a shaking breath, breaking through the painful lump in her chest. The tears in her eyes blurred her vision. The nightmare felt so real. Where am I? You're safe, Melody. Everything's fine. His cold fingers pressed gently against her burning cheeks, forcing her to focus on his familiar face. The remnants of the past slowly evaporated with the last of her tears, and Mikhail carefully brushed them away with his thumbs, helping her to come to her senses. No, they're not red anymore. They were definitely red a second ago. Not like it's like people. No, they weren't red, but like there was like a tinge of red around his eyes, like he was straining to do something. What the heck? What was he doing exactly? Was he healing? Is he like a doctor or something? I don't know. What happened? Her voice sounded terribly hoarse. Mikhail was sitting on the edge of the bed, and he pulled away to hand her a glass of water. Her voice probably sounds like mine. I'm in here croaking. With each sip, Melody felt recent events resurface in her memory. I was poisoned. You had a fever. You were screaming. Does anything hurt? They're red again? Maybe it's just the art. It definitely tends red right now. You know what? What was the thing? Nope. Nope. Okay, there we go. After thinking for a moment, Melody answered honestly. No. I had a strange dream. Relaxing a little, Mikhail carefully took the empty glass from her hands. Melody watched the smooth way the boss moved and noticed how close he was to her. Now that his hands were free, Mikhail unconsciously placed one of them next to hers. One careless movement and she could touch his skin. They're normal again, guys. I'm not making this up. What were you dreaming about? My parents? I dreamed about my father's church and his parishioners. Is it a painful memory? Yes, it is. And how often do you have these dreams? Almost every night. Oof. Very rarely. If there's anything I can do to help, you're already helping me a lot, Mikhail. It seemed Mikhail might have expected a different response, but he suppressed his impulse to protest. What kind of help are we talking about? Alright, I won't push you. Trust has to be earned, after all, and so far, all we've managed to do is almost lose you. Images of Silent Grove, the tree tops overhead, Otto, and the wolf began to flash in her mind's eye. Was I poisoned? The water in the village was poisoned. How were the others? Mikhail fell silent and Melody shuddered, imagining the worst. Noticing her reaction, Mikhail said quickly, "They're fine. You don't have to worry." Raphael had to leave due to urgent matters, but he stayed by your side all night. I had to kick the others out of your room. David's highly emotional state was of no use here. Highly emotional? What? Now there was Cassiel's cold anger. It was hard to believe that out of all of them, she was the only one who had almost died. Even though the guys gave almost all the water to me. Well, if the water was poison and you drank most of the water, then isn't that indication why she... I didn't even think about she drank all that water. And they gave us the water. What about the client? How's Rada? Rada's in the hospital now. Her condition is worse than yours. That's strange. I didn't notice that she had any symptoms at all. As for the locals, it would be difficult to prosecute them for burning a so-called witch. Perhaps the entire village witnessed the murder on that fateful evening, but no one has come forward yet, and probably never will. No way. It will be even more difficult to punish the factory director. When things went wrong, Otto sold a majority stake to the government. We can only hope that sooner or later they will at least give the villagers a payout and apologize. Wow. No one deserves what the parents of Silent Grove have been through. Money and apologies won't bring their children back. Yeah. But honestly, I'm still a bit miffed that they just kind of burned an innocent woman to death for no reason, but you know. But yeah, still. No one deserves to have their kids on. Go stillborn on you. Trust me, that's, Nothing in this world is certain. But of course, I would also like for the guilty to be held accountable for their actions. Lost in thought, Mikhail turned his gaze to the bouquet of flowers decorating the bedside table. Everyone is terribly worried about you. Even Felonia hasn't left Astrea. She's waiting for you to come too. And if I didn't have the power to kick people out of this room, all your colleagues would be gathered here right now. Melody caught herself thinking that she would like to see David right now. Interesting. Is that where my thoughts have brought me? Okay, so despite pretty much flirting with everybody, right now she's like the closest to David, I think. Has he had a bit more scenes? We had the first case with him, right? That's interesting. To have him sit on the edge of the bed and crack his jokes. There's always laughter in his eyes. I wonder if there's room for anything more serious in them. I hope Cassio's okay. Okay, wait, okay. Also thinking about him. Unexpected thought took her by surprise. Can I get him out of my head? To be honest, you made me rather nervous too. I knew I was taking a risk when I hired you, but I didn't think I was risking my own peace of mind. By the way, a certain Ruth has already called us several times. I'm afraid if you don't call her back soon, she'll come here with the police. Several times? How long was I unconscious? A little over a day, but don't worry, you're physically healthy. Did a doctor come to examine me? I examined you. Okay, so he is some sort of healer or something. He did. Realizing what that meant, Melody cheeks went warm. How exactly does this examination take place? Oh. I think I slept through the fun part. Wow, you're assuming there's a fun part. Are you a doctor? I don't have a medical license, but it's unlikely you find anyone more qualified than me in the city. That's not an answer. I wish I could say the same about myself. Well, I won't take up any more of your time. As he stood up, Mikhail gave her a thoughtful look. This time I'm the one going on a mission, and you and your colleagues are staying home. Anything interesting? That depends on your point of view. Calls from the other side. Probably something you can hear without being curious. A lot of them? Enough that the bosses ordered me to investigate. What a strange coincidence. Dead people visit me in my dreams, and now Mikhail says there's a way to talk to them. Do you believe that's possible? I wouldn't go there otherwise. Will you take me with you? Would you like that? To see a real miracle? Of course. I don't think that's a good idea. Need to convince him to bring me along. Distraction. Grace is important. I think this is more faithy, right? I know it sounds strange, but I feel like I have to go. And please don't ask why. If you really feel that you're ready, I'll be happy to take you with me. Your counsel could make my job a lot easier. Thank you. Filoni and I will be leaving in a few hours. If you change your mind, just let me know. I'll be in my office. Sorry, I had a random thought. As soon as he left the room, Melly listened to her body. She got out of bed carefully, afraid of getting dizzy, but nothing of the sort happened. I doubt Mikhail's some kind of miracle worker. My poisoning probably just wasn't that bad. I think he's more of a miracle worker. I'm telling you, the red ice thing, I did not imagine this. Melody tried to think about how Rada's serious condition didn't fit that narrative. She headed for the shower. Yeah. What happened there? I want to look stunning today. Okay. The feeling of inevitability that had long been a part of her swirled in her stomach, making her nauseous. To get rid of it, she had to find the strength to make one call. I need to talk to Ruth. Melody paced the room nervously, unable to sit still. On the 10th ring, she began to hope that her friend would not answer. The amount of times I call people, I'm like, don't pick up, don't pick up, don't pick up. Those conversations make me nervous. But that hope was immediately dashed by an excited scream. Oh my god, Melody, where have you been? I'm still in Astrea. Glad to hear from you. You have no idea how glad I am. You spoke to my boss? I thought he was hiding something from me. I swear, if I hadn't heard your voice in an hour like you promised, I would have called the cops. Ruth? Melody felt that her friend was trying to hide the real reason for her calls behind a constant stream of words. Yeah, I don't know. Last time it kind of sounded like they hadn't spoken in a while, so why is she suddenly, As she had neither the time nor the energy to wait for that reason to come up naturally. Tell me what's going on. Your patient is out of his coma. The rumors the media started could now take shape and become my new reality. He claims that your sessions put him in the state he's in. His parents have hired a new lawyer. I see. Goodlum abandoned me, and I won't be getting my license back. Forget about the license, Melody. They want to lock you up for malpractice. Her legs buckled on the way of the realization that there was no escaping the past. It was fun basking in the attention of strangers and chasing demons. But reality is always worse. I hear there's a lawyer at Astrea. Can he help you? I can't admit to them that I don't have a license. But why not? They don't need a psychiatrist, and you can be a consultant even without it. Who want a consultant who accidentally drives their patients to a psychotic break? But you know that's not the truth of what happened. I mean, I get that you're afraid of losing the only job that you got right now. Like, that's understandable, but at the same time, if David always in here boasting that he always wins, though, it's something to consider. Ruth, please. I mean, what else is your plan then? Are you just gonna wait for the inevitable when they just show up in here and take you down, take you to the office, like, or take you to court? I mean, it's gonna get out anyway. You might as well get ahead of it and try it, you know? I don't know. Melody felt so hollow that her cracked voice seemed to be all that was left of her. It's much easier for the hospital director to say that I failed everyone. Easier to throw me to the wolves than to prove my innocence. Well, prove your own innocence by finding someone to help you. Do you have a plan? The ridiculous question forced a short, hysterical laugh out of Melody's throat. A plan? Yeah, obviously you don't have a plan, but you need to figure that out. Please be proactive about this. Maybe I'll talk to his parent. Why? And say what? and do what? They're always gonna take his side. Are you kidding me? Like, regardless of everything else, like, they're gonna take his side. Like, this is not always the case. But most likely, regardless of whatever their kid or whoever family member has done, they're usually gonna take their side. So, I don't understand. They weren't willing to hear you out this whole time and suddenly you're gonna talk to his parents? Like, why choose the stupidest route to get through this? I don't understand. After all, they know it was their son who attacked me, and they don't care. And yet they hired a lawyer anyway. Like, they know I was defending myself, and they still don't care. I've also made a friend in the police force. Oh, so you're willing to go to Filoni about it? Maybe with their help, we'll be able to find Goodlim's missing security footage. Oh, so there was security footage, and it's supposed to be there, but did they, like, sweep it under the rug? Why, though? What the heck? But to be honest, I have no idea how a video from a hospital hallway is going to help me. Oh, okay, so there's no footage of the session. It's a hallway, yeah. But in the hallway, if you can show... that's kind of tough. Because he says that his sessions drove him there. I think that everybody has, like, little ticks or something like that. He might have given it away if he spent some time in the hallway. I don't know. That one's tough. Either way, I think she should ask David for help. She's being silly. Melanie, I know I know what will help you. What? Call me to Sunday service, please. Girl, get the hell out of here. Melody wanted to howl in despair, and she wanted to beat herself up for the fleeting hope that Ruth's words had sparked. It's not her fault. She really believes. Listen. I understand leaning into your faith when times are hard. There's nothing wrong with that. However, there's a certain amount of agency that you have to take into account for your own free will. And you need to act as well. You know what I mean? You know, they can't do everything for you. You know, you're going to have to take some steps to yourself as well. Oh, God. Okay, Ruth. See you on Sunday. There was a pause. Melody couldn't believe she had really agreed. Ruth was silent for fear of scaring her into reconsidering. Ruth, I have to go. See you soon, okay? Okay. Tossing the phone aside, Melody tried to put herself in the shoes of her patient's parents. To calm the anger raging inside, to stop choking on the bitter resentment that was already spilling over. If I keep thinking about this, I'll never get out of this hole. I better go give everyone the good news that I'm fine. It took me way long to get to that section than it should have. Oh, I need some water. She didn't have to wander around the mansion long. As she stood on the stairs, Melody heard voices coming from the kitchen. And judging by the tone, the conversation was anything but friendly. What's wrong with him? Dust motes swirled serenely around the room in the dawn light, but the atmosphere was tense. David sat in a chair, his legs crossed in an imposing manner. His deliberately relaxed pose didn't hide his real mood. Kessler didn't try to hide his anger. He looked at David aggressively and directly. Looks like I'm right on time. Good morning, if you can call it that. The expressions instantly changed. Both of them forgot about each other and turned their attention to her. David was the first to react to her appearance. He jumped out of his seat and was beside her in an instant. Without hiding his genuine joy, he pulled Melody toward him and hugged her tightly. You're smothering me. If you had decided to leave me in all this gloom, I would have brought you back from the other side. Somehow, I don't think he's joking. I have no doubt. This time, David broke the embrace surprisingly quickly. Holding back because Cassio's here? David gallantly led Melody to the dining table, sat her down on a chair, and walked over to the stove. You must be hungry. Why is he always cooking? You haven't eaten for a whole day, poor thing. Without even asking her what she wanted, David started cooking. Melody stared at silent Cassio. Are you avoiding looking at me? How are you holding up? Better now. What a comprehensive answer. Glad you're having fun. I can't help but smile when I see your gloomy face. What the heck? What did you guys do while I was sleeping? We wandered around the rooms and worried about your condition. That's precious. I hope the bad guy with the gun did make you change your mind and want to leave us. It's terrible, of course, but not the first time I've been attacked. You know, if you want to help me with that. I didn't have time to write my resignation. In response to her sincere statement, David winced but remained silent. Cassio looked away suddenly again. Are there any new assignments? Only for Mikhail. He's leaving today. Oh, I know about that. I just asked to go with him. The two men expressed their opinions in unison. You what? Are you crazy? Do you have a problem with that? Yes, I won't be there to keep an eye on you. Oh, why are you not going then? And you only get in Mikhail's way. Okay, rude. And I backtrack on all the good faith that we were doing. We were building good things here. And now you're insulting me again. Thanks. Melody didn't have time to get upset. The pleasant, friendly atmosphere that had sprung up from her arrival was shattered by a single sentence. You already kept an eye on her, Protector. Oh, that's why they were fighting. And you almost got her killed. The deafening silence was broken only by the sound of the coffee machine, letting them know that the beverage was ready. Is that what they were fighting about? Cassio didn't do anything wrong. It's not his fault the water was poisoned. Her attempt to defuse the situation only made things worse for some reason. I don't need your support. Fine, won't give it. I'm not trying to support you. The rudeness left her feeling awkward. I shouldn't have said anything. Oh, Cassio, you are so cold and aloof. Are you deliberately drawing attention to yourself? I don't need that. Of course, you're not like that. Whatever David was talking about, it was clear the words held great meaning for both of them. You better stay away from this night, little witch. You'll be safer that way. Cassio abruptly stood up. Fearing that the men might fight, Melody stood up as well. Make your jokes while you can, David. History would not be rewritten by your idiotic humor and your fake cheer. History? Oh, you always confuse my father's story with mine. I'm clean. Of course, everyone gets their hands dirty, but not you. Laugh it up. Sooner or later, you will see the eyes of the past in your reflection, and then you won't be laughing. David wasn't smiling anymore. Then you better shut up, Cassio. Unless you want to be the butt of all my jokes. Guys? Her trembling voice snapped them out of it. Cassio clenched his jaw and stormed out of the room. David silently took 2 cups of coffee and sat down at the table. Who am I supposed to support here? I don't even know what's going on. Maybe I should just go to my room. I'm so confused. Like, right, that conversation would probably make a lot more sense later, but for right now, it just went right over my head. But I guess if we're just gonna go with somebody, I'm already tired of being insulted today, so I think, I'll just stay here. Thanks. He didn't have to be that rude. Okay. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's like just some sort of defense thing or whatever, but I really don't appreciate the rudeness. I feel like it's unnecessary, and I felt like we kind of slowly moved past that, but I don't know if he just deflects on that for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm just not. I'm not. Molly sat down next to David and picked up the second cup. She decided to remain silent for as long as it would take. The important thing is that he knows I'm here. After 2 sips of strong coffee, David broke the silence. You can ask. I doubt you'll give me a full answer, but sure. What was he talking about? My father. Cass was convinced that madness is hereditary. She didn't want to cite the statistic that proved Cassie was right, in a way. Instead, Melody placed her hand on his and squeezed it gently. She wanted to say that she understood him like no one else, but she knew all too well that such words were usually of no use. What's wrong with him? It was clear the conversation was difficult for David. He stared into his cup, trying to find the right words. If I told you that he sold his soul, would you believe me? Don't answer that. It's easier for me to believe it's true. If it isn't, then I won't be able to find an excuse for his actions. Melody squeezed his hand a little harder, making him look into her eyes. We're not our parents, you know? It doesn't matter if I know that. No, David, that's all that matters. With a sad smile, David pulled his hand away and smoothed his disheveled hair. He tried to give his face his usual playful expression, but she could no longer look at him the same. There's too much hiding behind that smile of his. I don't want you to see my family history in my eyes. And why should I talk about sad things when I want to talk about something completely different when I'm next to you? Like what? Like how much I missed you. How I paced restlessly the whole time. Or how Cassie's sidelong glances at you annoyed me. Oh man, this sounds dangerous. They're not the best of friends as it is. You've been occupying too much of my thoughts lately, little witch. For the first time, I missed almost everything the realtor's lawyer said at the trial. Can you imagine that? As soon as he started describing that narrow space between the walls, all I could see was your face. And that tiny distance between us. Her imagination vividly depicted the place that David was describing. A narrow corridor, a faint minty smell. Suddenly, it was harder to breathe. I should change the subject before it's too late. So, is this your first loss? No, of course not. I won as usual. Seriously, please help me. They're trying to sue me for no reason. Help out. There's a nice smile there. But I didn't experience any joy from winning. Why not? Because now I crave a different kind of victory. David's eyes flashed with a playful fire, and Melody felt its heat spread through her body. It has become the thing I desire most. Why though? But I cannot use my usual cunning in this battle. I can't use force alone if I really want to win. This battlefield is unfamiliar to me. Somehow I doubt it. No, my cunning little witch. It's not what you think. On this battlefield, I can't get enough with just one fight. I want to go slow. To experience the pleasure of planning every step. And then to ignore the plan entirely and act on impulse. I want to make mistakes and correct them. That sounds like a really bad strategy. Because strategies don't work here. David leaned closer. Involuntarily, Melody leaned forward too, reducing the already small distance between them. Are you ready for your first defeat? Smiling, David whispered so close that she could feel his hot breath on her lips. I can see that I won't lose. Trying to ignore the all-too-obvious flirting in her stomach, Melody pulled away. How about those promises of yours? It's almost a shame to leave you again for the whole day. Oh, I do like your cruelty. Unfortunately, David, I have to get ready for the road. Of course, little witch. Try to get involved in any more incidents. Has begun to develop strange feelings for you. Why are they strange? The bedroom looked different, and the nightmares had left their marks on the wall. Now childhood memories hid in their corners, waiting for her to close her eyes so that they could crawl out. And so they caught up with me. Melody hadn't been afraid of bad dreams for a long time. She worked through each one and became one with them. Much more terrible were the pleasant dreams, the ones taking the form of childhood fantasies. In them, her father held her hand tightly and went down to the basement with her to prove that monsters didn't exist. In them, her mother laughed and watched stupid comedies on TV with her. Coming back to reality after those dreams was always terribly painful. It's going to be a tough day. Thinking about the past was depressing, as usual. Meanwhile, the future was frightening with its uncertainty, and the present demanded urgent decisions. It's time to get lost in work. Felonia sat in the office, lost in thought. When she noticed Melody entering, she smiled with some reserve. "Hello, you poor thing. How are you feeling?" "I couldn't wake up for a while, but I'm alright now." "How are you?" "Didn't drink enough poison to avoid work, as you can see. I'm waiting for the next assignment." Melody sat in the nearby chair and looked at the disgruntled police officer. Then she whispered conspiratorially, "This is an interesting one. Calls from the other side? Are you coming with us? Is that the only thing that surprises you?" Felonia brushed aside the question and shrugged. "If Mikhail thinks you're ready, then I have nothing against it. Unlike someone else in this house." That was really rude. God. Not knowing what else to say, Melody turned to the window. The beautiful view relieved her of the awkward silence. Quietly admiring the garden seemed like the natural thing to do. Maybe I was bewitched by this place, and that's why I decided to stay here so easily. "How are the guys treating you?" The question sounded sharp and unexpected, like an interrogation. Treating? Is that really the right word? You make it sound like I'm a prisoner. Okay, let me rephrase. Are they being nice to you? Yes, everyone is very kind to me. Very kind might be a stretch, but okay. Really? Is she being serious? But there was no mockery in her voice, only sincere curiosity, which made Melody feel uneasy suddenly. I don't know if you noticed, but they don't have much affection for anyone. So if you tell me that everyone's being kind to you, that's something to think about. Following her advice, Melody started going over past events. The girl who was killed in the club didn't evoke any emotion in David. When Mikhail sent us to Silent Grove, he literally forgot that the main goal was to help Rada. Cassio and Raphael didn't even raise an eyebrow when the wolf tore into Otto. There's really a lot to think about here. It's no surprise that they're nice to me. They get that we have to work side by side for a long time. And the fact that I'm a woman plays a big role, and they're men. Whatever you say. The fascinating conversation was interrupted when Mikhail silently entered the office. If everyone is ready, then let's not waste any time. Hanging over the town was a heavy leaden sky. A drizzle settled on the high windows of the restaurant, blurring the outlines of the street and turning the silhouettes of passersby into ghosts. As though all the callers had risen from their graves to meet us. The task was simple. Find out what was happening here. Their offer to investigate was accepted by a woman named Lydia. Her deceased husband had been bothering her with phone calls for several days. She's obviously not happy about the calls. The woman was late. To make the wait more pleasant, Mikhail ordered everyone coffee. They drank in silence. Felonia listened to the conversation that filled the room, while Mikhail admired the gloomy landscape. Melody tried to figure out what she wanted more, to see something supernatural to prove that such things didn't exist. Next to Felonia, Mikhail behaved in a deliberately strict manner. He didn't even allow himself a sideways glance. No wonder she doesn't think he's friendly. It seemed as if there was an open rift between them, with some kind of history buried in its depths, and neither of them could cross through the barrier. "Are you from the detective agency?" A tall, straight-backed woman with a stubborn expression stopped next to the table. "My name is Mikhail. This is our evaluator, Melody, and this is Officer Felonia. Have a seat." Lydia didn't apologize for being late. She waved at the waiter. One martini on the rocks. Great breakfast. All these tiresome phone calls have to stop. I hope I wasn't being deceived. I hope you really can talk to the dead. Oh, this will be interesting. Aren't we here because you're the one talking to them? Let's talk about everything, one at a time. Lydia sipped her martini and began to reminisce. Silently. She was obviously in no hurry, with each sip of her liquor Felonia's patience was wearing thin. She's about to explode. We need to ask some questions about her husband. Did you first call? It was Tuesday at 10 in the morning. I remember because I was going to yoga with my friends. Otherwise you wouldn't? Even from the other side, Jake manages to get on my nerves. We need to ask some questions about her husband. Well, do we get to ask them all or just two? He asked me what I did with the Swiss watch collection. She chuckled smugly as if she had been waiting for this question for 10 years. I already spent the money that I got for his junk. He's a bit too late for that. Well, now it sounds like someone's pretending to be her husband and is just looking into trying to figure out where his fortunes went. Now it kind of seems like some sort of scam. 10 years have passed since his heart stopped beating. Interesting, but the calls only started recently? Why wait 10 years to scam somebody about the collection, though? So that makes it seem like less like a scam. Ah, okay. That's weird. And you recognize his voice after all these years? Oh, honey, I recognize his creaky voice anywhere. Okay. Lydia, why are you surprised by the situation? Of course, anything can happen in life, but not like this. It's different for us. In our yoga club, every widow got a call like that. I was the last one. Oh, back to being a scam. Because they just targeted a group of people and trying to figure out where parts of their wealth is. Her husbands are all probably boiling in the same pot in hell. She laughed and called the waiter and asked for a refill. Are the calls still coming? He calls me periodically. The number is unlisted, so I can't call him back. Do you have a landline? Yes, my husband has always been terribly old-fashioned. He doesn't recognize new technology. He just keeps exiting by his watches like a parrot. Huh. Like it matters what time it is in hell. And when I ask if he wants to know how his children are doing, he hangs up. Why do your friend's husband call them? He uses accent to bring something to their graves. Can't imagine how it works. Lisa's husband asked her for his gold cufflinks. Seems like there's gonna be some kind of ball in hell. Speaking of Plague's ball that we just went to in Heaven Secret 2, that's funny timing for me. Didn't you contact the police? What for? This whole thing just seems like extortion, don't you think? But they only asked for their things. Her answer baffled Melody. Who are they? Lydia really doesn't see the connection? Felonia's straightforwardness came to the rescue. This is just a scam. And if you and your friends hadn't organized this circus and had just called the police, I wouldn't be listening to this nonsense right now. Instantly flushed with martini-flavored indignation, Lydia yelled, Honey, were you even listening to me? Do you think Lisa can't tell her husband's voice from mine? Do you think some swindler knows exactly what my husband wants to take to his grave? Lydia, he doesn't want anything. He's dead. You don't want anything. You don't want anything, especially not to work. Have you decided to turn everything over to the police so they can laugh at crazy old ladies? I thought your agency helped people. Reveling in her little tantrum, Lydia dramatically dabbed her completely dry eyes with the edge of a napkin. Enough. His cold voice immediately pulled her out of it. Tell us who received calls from deceased relatives, the ones who did not ask for anything to be taken to their graves. Forgetting that she had to be offended, Lydia smiled radiantly. Yes, let me think. Her sudden change of mood struck Melody to a core. Now the woman wouldn't look away from Mikhail's icy eyes as if her memory were contained within them. Were his eyes red again? He's doing something. Does he have that strange effect on all women? Yes, I remember. The son of a friend of mine called her. He didn't ask for anything. She didn't really understand what he wanted. Where does she live? At the end of the street. Do you know the house number? Just go to the most luxurious mansion. You can't miss it. What's her name? Claudia. Maybe there's something else we should ask. You could write a whole novel about Claudia's life. Now sitting more comfortably, Lydia smiled enthusiastically. She can gossip. She had everything a woman could want. A luxurious house, a loving husband, handsome sons, a brilliant career. She came to us from Denmark as a pitiful beggar, bought a tiny piece of land and got a job as a secretary. And then, by some miracle, she married our mayor. Even though we were friends, I still don't understand what he saw in her. I think I'm going to regret asking her to tell us this. Then she and her husband demolished her tiny house, bought the land around it, and built their family nest. What a gorgeous building. She has a closest to the size of this. She has a closet the size of this restaurant, and she hasn't even worn half the clothes she has. In the evening, she hosted at her house. All of us girls tried to get closer to her back then. We fought for her friendship and attention. If she doesn't get to the point, Felonia would kill me. She literally drove us crazy with her boundless happiness. Well, you know how it is. You know you deserve everything and more, but for some reason someone else gets it. Oh, how we envied her. Until her husband died. Heart attack. Her eldest son was very young when he accidentally fell into a well in the yard of the house. After that incident, Claudia took care of the middle one like a mother hen. Whatever happened to him again? Lily looked up at the ceiling and flexed her fingers in thought. Oh, I remember. He fell down the stairs. Her smile was so unsettling that Melody moved further away from her. The youngest one, the one who called her, lived to a respectable age, but he was sick all his life. In the end, cancer got him. Claudia sold all her possessions and even put the house up for sale, but there was no time to cure him. I wouldn't blame medicine, though, because he ended up committing suicide. It's been a year since his death. Maybe Claudia had some kind of mental break from all this loss? It was hard to even imagine how a parent who lost their children must feel. Does she live alone? Her nephew Eric is looking after her. I see. Thank you. That turned dark. After paying, they decided to go straight to Claudia's. Lydia refused to visit her old friend, saying that if the call stopped, she would take it as a sign that the job was done. Martinis helped her accept the supernatural with an enviable calm. So far, I'm not inclined to believe that anything supernatural at work here. Shivering from the chilly air, Melody looked around. The mansion was truly hard to miss, towering proudly above the other houses. It looked down the town with the boarded-up windows and grinned with its sharp spires. A true place of sorrows. Do you think Claudia is our patient Zira? It's much more important to find out how she became a patient in the first place. They didn't have any ideas to start with. There was no way to explain such cruelty. Does someone call just to make fun of her? Does anyone have a personal score to settle with her? Or does Scammer want her to be the first to believe in the call so that she can drag the others along? Try to find out if she really hears the voice of her dead son. And I will find the scammer. Agreed? Of course, everyone has their own job to do. Melody glanced at Mikhail and tried to imagine what kind of role he could be assigned in his mission. Clearly to get people talking. Melody, I suspect that you have a difficult conversation ahead of you. I'm leading the conversation? I wasn't even supposed to be here. What were you gonna do if I wasn't? I guess just pull it out. Used all the mystical stuff. Everyone experiences grief differently. It's hard to even guess what state she's in. It's been a year. No time to get back to normal? Did Mikkel seriously just ask me that? She will never return to her normal life. Her life has been divided into before and after. And considering how much loss she's gone through, her grief-stricken path can hardly be called life. It's not even existence, really. It's endless agony. I've never had the opportunity to heal mental wounds. I'm afraid grief can't be cured. It's not a disease. The rest of the walk to the mansion was silent. With each step along the tiled path, the noise of the town faded. Do you feel it? Yes. What are you talking about? The atmosphere around us. A dilapidated building, an overgrown garden, everything around them was weighed down by the grief of lost beauty. It seemed that everything they saw could tell the could tell the sad story of a withered family nest. Floating and knocked on the door. The first living being to greet the guests was a black raven that swooped down from the roof above their heads. Melody stumbled as she backed away from the bird on instinct. Someone's hand grabbed her elbow to keep her from falling down the stairs. Be careful, Melody. Thank you. After making sure she was firmly on her feet, Mikkel let go of her arm. Is the raven here in place of a watchdog? The door was opened by a blue-eyed man. Who are you here to see? Hello, Eric. We're from the Astrea Detective Agency. We need to talk to Claudia. Is she home? Yes. Why? The overly suspicious man was in no hurry to let guests into the house. Her friend Lydia asked us to help. She said someone is mocking your aunt and calling her, introducing himself as her dead son. Lydia? Wow. So she remembered her friend after all these years? Why did I get a reputation? Would I not have been able to say that if I didn't take the diamond option? Oh, right, because we didn't know it was a son. Okay. Yeah. So she remembered her friend after all these years? Go ahead, but it's unlikely that my aunt will be able to tell you anything useful. You managed to convince Eric to let you talk to Claudia. The spacious living room was designed for a large family. All of its members gazed silently at the guests from portraits in gilded frames. This house should be filled with dozens of voices, but instead there's an oppressive silence. Before I call her, there's something you need to know. My aunt is an infinitely kind but deeply unhappy woman who doesn't deserve this fate. She adopted me even when her own children were still alive. A year ago, she buried her last son, Marcus, and now I'm her only relative. The portraits on the walls immediately acquired a complete story, sad and gloomy. And if I feel like you being here is making her worse, I'll throw you out. I wonder if he really cares about his aunt as much as he says he does. Eric, listen. And we're not going to reopen Claudia's old wounds. Like you, we just want to protect her from unnecessary shock. I hope so. As soon as Eric disappeared through the door, Felonia headed toward an inconspicuous-looking landline. She put the phone to her ear. It doesn't work. Pulling the cord toward her, she saw wires sticking out in different directions and voiced an obvious conclusion. Ripped out. Eric's handiwork? Soon, a stately-looking woman entered the room and scanned the guests with a misty gaze. She's like a living extension of the mansion. The shadow of her grief fell across her once beautiful face. Her shoulders sagged under the weight of the burden she had carried for so many years. Oh wow, she's gorgeous. Are you with the police? Yes, we would like to ask you a few questions about your son. Sighing heavily, the woman sank into a nearby chair. A small cloud of dust rose around her. Which one? The youngest. We want to know how long ago he called you? Her impassive face was twisted with anxiety, acute and all-consuming. An anxiety that only a parent can have when questioned about her children by people in uniform who had suddenly appeared on her doorstep. A couple of days ago. Marcus isn't in the habit of calling me every day. I didn't even think to worry. Lifting the end of the torn phone cord, Felonia asked, "Your phone doesn't work. Did you know that?" To be honest, your questions scare me. I don't know what's wrong with the phone. Marcus will fix it when he gets back. She's waiting for him to return? The temperature in the room suddenly dropped. It felt like tiny pieces of ice were filling Melody's lungs. Your youngest son is supposed to return? As if looking for support, Claudia turned to Eric, who was standing silently behind her chair. Yes, Marcus. He's our network engineer. It's no problem for him to fix some cables. Excuse me, but what actually happened? Is there something wrong with Marcus? Mikhail didn't take part in the conversation. Instead, he wandered around the room in a somber mood. Melody prayed that Felonia would not reveal the whole truth to a woman who was clearly not ready for it. When is he due to arrive? Eric had clearly not expected the guest to play along. He stopped sadly staring at the floor and perked up. He'll come home from work late in the evening. We'll wait, if you don't mind. We're gonna stay here? We would stay in a hotel, but I'm afraid there's an influx of tourists in your town now due to these calls. There's hardly any room for us. The house is big, of course, but there are quite a few of us living here. I do not want to be rude, but may I see your ID? To Melody's surprise, Felonia had ID cards for everyone. After examining them under a magnifying glass, Claudia handed the doctors back and nodded. We're sorry to put you and your family on the spot, but we've come a long way and would like to wait for Marcus. Still, at least give us a hint about what's going on. I'm his mother, after all. I should know. He's fine. We just need his statement. If you have a chance to contact him, we will be grateful. Eric grimaced and promised to try. Auntie, I'll take you upstairs and help the guests get settled, okay? Claudia forced a smile at them before she left, the way one usually smiles at government officials. If anyone in my house bothers you, do not hesitate to tell my nephew. I don't think there's any point in talking to her. Why are we staying? There's something here. Mikhail appeared at the portrait of the child hanging in the middle of the room. Ghost? Did I really just say that? It'll be better if I stay here while you ask to be shown Marcus's room. I'm not sure if we'll spend the night here, but it's definitely worth staying until sunset. It seemed that Mikhail had forgotten the most important part again. What about the scammers? There's plenty of time before sunset. You may well find them. They didn't even have to make Eric take them to the right room. Eric, who now seemed strangely hunched over, silently led them to the door they wanted and left. Here comes that atmosphere, the kind you get by trying to freeze time. Everything in the room indicated that the owner will return at any moment. There was a freshly washed sheet on the bed and not a speck of dust on the table, despite all the dust downstairs. You know, when she sat down, there was like a cloud of dust. I'm like, Claudia doesn't dust the living room, but she cleans her son's room every day. Or rooms. The realization that all of Claudia's deceased children were alive in her mind made Melody feel sick. And Eric supports this story. I wonder how. Felonia rummaged unceremoniously through the drawers of the desk. What do you... Eric's the one calling, isn't he? He's trying to support her narrative here by calling in. But how does that tie to him calling the other people? Nothing in particular. I think there's a good chance that our ladies are being called from here. After unloading the contents of a large basket onto the wall, where are those pills on the bedside table over there? After unloading the contents of a large basket on the floor, she kicks some wires and plastic boxes with her toe. Any thoughts on who it may be? I could try to guess. I think it's Eric. He called them because he was tired of watching his aunt suffer. And then things got out of hand? Smart girl. I'm sure that is him. Despite the fact that Claudia gave up everything she had for her son's treatment, they are living rather well. They didn't sell the house, so where do you think the money comes from? Felonia crouched down and reached into the tangle of wires. I think Eric learned a lot from Marcus. And the voices are not that hard to fake. Especially if the town is small and everyone knows each other. Felonia looked at her watch. Mikhail still wants to wait until sunset. We could talk to Eric alone and find out if our suspicions are correct. Or I could collect statements from the victims and build a case. Felonia paused, either thinking about what to do or expecting some kind of reaction from her colleague. When no response came, she continued. Yes, that'll probably be even easier. In the interrogation room, everyone becomes much more talkative. Eric rushed into the room, though he didn't surprise anyone with his sudden appearance. Was he eavesdropping? Wait, there's no need to start a case. I'll explain everything. We're all ears. The conversation was long and contradictory. Eric really loved his aunt, who was like a mother to him, but he didn't like her friends who took advantage of her condition, her wealth, and her trust. Being a kind person, Claudia was eager to share all of her wealth with them. If they hadn't extorted gifts from her or borrowed money that they never paid back, she wouldn't have had to sell everything. When Marcus died, Claudia's mind couldn't take it. She said that he called her. At first, she was terrified, but then it was like a switch flipped inside her. I pulled the wire out so as not to provoke any more episodes. Didn't you hear the calls? No, of course not. Soon she started seeing all of her children. I decided it would be better not to convince her otherwise. Not the best solution. To celebrate, Claudia told Lydia about the phone call, and that old hag started spreading nasty rumors about my aunt. She was almost locked up in a mental institution. How can I just take it all in stride? Eric hoped that Lydia and her friends grow a conscience, but then their heartlessness had to be punished another way, financially. Oh, that's why he was acting about the valuables. And what am I going to do with you? I can see why he did it. Since there's no case, there's nothing to close. You still have to return everything you stole. And probably admit to your cruel prank, too. Before he left, Eric brought all the equipment he used for his complex operation into the room and destroyed it. He told a tragic family story that made even Felonia's lips turn down. The subject seems to mean a lot to her. Probably not one to show weakness, Felonia began to stuff the twisted wires back into the box. Melody started to help her pick up the scattered things. They worked in silence, not trying to start a conversation that no one needed at the moment. Both trying to process everything Eric had told them, both trying to figure out if they were doing the right thing. When the room was back to its original pristine appearance, Felonia slowly sat down on the floor. She rested the back of her head against the wall, using it for support. Her tired gaze lingered on her colleague. You probably think I get soft too easily. You mean with Eric? Melody gently sat down next to her. She tried to sit too close, but their thighs still touched. Felonia didn't move away, and Melody didn't either. I don't think so. I wasn't like this before. It was so strange to hear someone blame themselves for showing empathy. You didn't empathize? With strangers? No. What changed? I have no one else left. Felonia turned her head and peered thoughtfully into her colleague's face. It was as if she was assessing the risks of a sudden revelation. Do you have a family? In Melody's mind, a whole crowd lined up behind the image of her parents. Always a crowd, a huge family where everyone is no one to each other. I have a friend, Ruth. Not bad. Melody didn't want to talk about loneliness. The day was already sad enough, It seemed filled to the brim with unshed tears from everyone involved. She wanted to distract herself with something completely absurd, far removed from anything in his house. By the way, I was arrested once. The sentence came out of nowhere and worked perfectly. Felonia arched her eyebrow in surprise. You? Really? Her sincere doubt sounded insulting. Why are you so surprised? What did you do? Forget to return your textbooks to the library? How rude. Dude, her eyes turned to like slits. She's like a cat. Of course not. How could you forget to return your books? I was late for my exam and crossed the road in the wrong place. I told the policeman that I was in a hurry and would come back later to pay the fine, but he wouldn't listen. I tried to run away from him. He caught up with me at the entrance of the university and arrested me for non-compliance. God, does Miguel know he hired? No, that's actually a touchy subject. The laughter was almost hysterical, as if all their other emotions were being released along with it. After she calmed down, Felonia looked at her colleague in a different way, somehow. If I were to arrest you, all you have to do is smile at me. And you let me go right away? I definitely wouldn't take you to the police station. God, do your bosses know who they hired? Felonia's gaze softened and drifted to Melody's lips. Melody couldn't resist and responded in kind. Her smile really suits her. I'm glad you showed up at Astrea. I guess I am too. Hasn't had a heart-to-heart with anyone in a long time, she'll remember this. Melody wasn't sure why they had to stay in this house any longer. She decided to discuss further plans with Mikkel. Felonia supported her decision, but refused to join her. Do you not want to cross paths with him again? After hiding behind the clouds all day, the sun finally began to go down beneath the horizon. In the twilight, it was hard to see Mikkel right away. Besides, the seated silhouette was too relaxed to fit the image of a strict boss. Mikkel? Melody approached and noticed that he had taken a surprising liberty. He wasn't wearing a jacket, and the collar of one of his shirt was unbuttoned. He was also holding a book. I take it you found our scammer? Why are you getting relaxed in here? Yes? The calls will stop. I think we can leave. Mikkel spoke quickly, gentle but firm. Let's stay a little longer. Maybe we can find out who called Claudia while we're here. Oh, that's right. He wasn't involved with the first call. It was her subconscious, clearly. Her gaze fell on the chair. No, I'm gonna... God. Do you mind? No, of course not. It was unusual to see Mikkel like this. So, this is how you relax? By reading? What should I talk to him about? Talk about him. I love these little interview looks. The dim, intimate lighting of the room hid everything from view. More than that, it also concealed any embarrassment. The question that had been on the tip of her tongue for so long finally found its way out. Could you tell me something about yourself? We live in the same roof, but I don't know anything about you. Melody was ready for the question to crash against an icy wall, but Mikkel smiled warmly. Neither do I about you. I think I should be more worried than you. And yet here you are, next to me. Only the roofs over our heads have changed. There was no need for her to dig deep to find the answer to an unasked question. For some reason, you inspire confidence in me. Do I look that harmless? On the contrary, you look dangerous, like a hunter in hiding. But I don't feel like prey. Does that mean you hid with me? Is this your way of not answering my question at all? The metaphorical situation suddenly seemed very real. We're sitting in twilight, speaking in half whispers, waiting for something. Looks like it. You don't have to wait for the beast to appear with me. You want to know something. I suggest we exchange honest answers. Will you answer any question? Absolutely. Melody had a whole list in her head and it was not easy to choose the most important one. Astrea is full of mysteries. It's like I'm in a secret society. Why did you choose to work for Astrea? I had no choice. None of us did. I suspect you didn't come to us because you dreamed of it all your life. But I can leave any time, just like you. You can, but you are unlikely to leave. She immediately wanted to challenge his words, but she didn't want her stubbornness to be met with indifference. Why try to convince him that I can leave when the truth is that I can't? Or don't want to. For some reason, the thought that she could lose much more than just her job saddened her. She longed for intimate conversation, for affectionate touches, for warmth. And you trying to find it with the guys who don't empathize? What made me think I could find all that here? At the very least, I wouldn't want you to leave. And if you suddenly have such thoughts, I would do everything in my power to convince you not to. Even if I told you I don't have a medical license? There was no tenderness in Mikhail's gaze, but there was a firm determination that convinced her that he cared. And Melody believed every word he said. Or maybe she just wanted to believe. Now it's your turn. I'll save my question for later. You don't know what to ask? Or am I an open book to you? No, not at all. I'll ask a question when the answer is important enough for you to say out loud. Seems like there are even more questions now. You owe Mikhail an answer to any question he asks. How rude! Don't be saving it for a pointed moment. I talked to him about. Let's talk about the book. What were you reading? To answer the question, Mikhail had to look at the cover. Some kind of historical novel. The author's name provided no clarification. Is it interesting? It's possible. Usually people choose books more intentionally. It was nice to tease the boss. It was even nicer that he allowed her to tease him in private. He held back a smile and gave her an excuse that wasn't really necessary. I came across it by chance. It was lying on this table under a layer of dust. Nothing wrong with being immersed in something passable. I'm usually much more selective. And everything. I don't doubt that. I wonder what kind of woman would be able to impress you. Her meddlesome imagination immediately pictured them side by side. We'd look good together? You have a very mischievous look on your face right now. What are you thinking about? Being too selective and where that can lead someone. Mikhail didn't take his interested gaze off her as he answered briefly. Toward perfection. Time had passed by unnoticed during their conversation. Oh, Mikhail doesn't plan to finish reading that book. The thick spine looked impressive. It's at least 1,000 pages long. What's wrong with that? My favorite book is 1,000 pages long. Will you be able to read it before sunset? Slyly narrowing her eyes, Melody allowed herself a joke. Or will you commit a crime? Will you let me steal it? Of course not. I will not be your accomplice. So I'll have to show solidarity with the book's owner and leave the ending open. Melody glanced at the brown spine and noticed the thin tab of a bookmark peeking out from somewhere in the middle. Whoever read it here didn't have a chance to reach the end. The pleasant atmosphere was washed away by sadness. Not all endings will be known to us, and perhaps we have to come to terms with that. I guess so. What will happen if we ever find this mystical trace of yours? That depends on how it happens to manifest. But in general, such things should be disposed of if possible. Even if it's supernatural? Do you think that communication with the world of the dead can be of any use to the living? Mother tried to imagine what the world would be like if loved ones did not disappear after death. If there was always a chance for them to say those important last words they never got to in life. Those words would probably never be spoken aloud. And it would be even harder to recognize the value of our loved ones. Trying to get ahead of yourself. This is better for everyone. When you say that, I stopped understanding why I was chosen. You can believe that this is all just a big coincidence. But I personally know that there are no coincidences. We all have a role to play, and I hope yours will be much better than the rest of our colleagues. We'll leave in a few hours. I want to make sure there's nothing to worry about and that all is well in the expansion. Mola didn't understand how he was going to do that exactly, but she didn't argue. Waiting for the devil to jump out at him, perhaps. I'll tell Felonia that we won't be staying the night. Okay. Mikhail turned away thoughtfully and stared at the book again. Melody walked as quietly as possible, trying not to disturb the mournful silence of the mansion. She remembered how worried Claudia had been about guests not being able to get any rest because of the noise. Maybe we should have insisted. Convince Eric to send her in for treatment? The torn cable lay lifeless on the floor, a reminder that everyone in the house was tiptoeing around an old woman's mental illness. It's just making it worse. It was a difficult question to answer. Was it worth fighting for her sanity if she had to go back through hell to do so? To drag her through torment so that in the end an old woman could live out her last years drowning in bottomless grief? Melody jumped. She didn't immediately realize what she was hearing. She turned to Mikhail, but he was engrossed in reading and hadn't heard anything. He really didn't hear? What was that? Mikhail? The phone rang again, deafening. Startled by the sound, Melody picked it up without thinking, just to bring blissful silence back to the house. She brought it to her ear and listened. I don't like the imagery here in the background. There's like snakes, skulls, hands. The moans coming from the receiver were mixed with hysterical laughter. The screams with the sound of something slashing through the air. And then everything went quiet. In that silence, Melody heard the frightened voice of a man. Mom? Take me away from here, Mom? There's no one here. Only me. Me and my executioners. They're pouring boiling water and bloody pus down my throat. Marcus? Melody? The floor swayed under her feet. She had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. The voice on the other end had changed completely. It was now a voice that Melody could pick out from 1,000 others. It was the voice of her mother. That's weird! It's like the person was expecting Claudia to answer, but when it got someone else, it immediately picked up on the voice, traced back through the memories, and pulled up the person that was dead that would affect them the most. Like, it's taking on the shape of whoever is listening. Listen to me, Melody, listen. My dear girl. Mom? He's close, Melody. He's coming for you. He's coming for all of you. Hide, dear. Okay. Alright, buddy. That was a very spooky end. Because I realized that we haven't, like, there's been, like, hints of, like, oh, there might be something supernatural with this case, but everything's been kind of like, no, just somebody being a jerk. Something to that effect, or, you know, it has, like, some sort of answer grounded in reality. But this is the first real hint of supernatural that we get, besides, you know, seeing the guys kind of, well, not seeing them per se, but, like, noticing that the guys have been using their abilities kind of a bit around her. So that's interesting. And very spooky. Okay. Oh, now I want to play next. Ugh. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to press right here because my throat is so sick. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and share the like button. So love, subscribe to see more content like this, and I will see you next time. Bye.